right, now that we are aware of what happened with the Air India incident, why did it happen? We know, we have identified the guy's name. I think it's time to talk about a deeper issue. See, think about it. In a nutshell, this guy who had a fantastic career with a great company, an incredibly well accomplished position, respect in society, good family life, good everything, that also, based in US or whatever. In one instant, because of alcohol, he destroyed his entire life. And because of this incident, this one moment in time, it's going to cost him maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years of his life. But the stigma on his name, reputation, on his career, on his life is not going to go, ever. So I was, sitting and reflecting on this issue. And the problem is not just him. I would say the deeper issue is alcohol. Addiction, vices. Now, different people have different vices. Some have smoking, some have drinking, some have gambling, some have women or men, or some have spending. See, we all have our vices, but in this video, I'll focus on alcohol. Now, thankfully, I have never touched alcohol. I always viewed alcohol as something very evil, something very sinister. It was always imagined it was like a trap. Once you get into it, you can't get out of it. So I always thought, why to get into it in the first place? I would see my parents drink a little bit before sleeping. They were not addicted, but every night they would call it a peg, two glasses, little alcohol. They would drink beer sometimes. When they would go for their parties, they would have a little bit more. So my parents were never like, alcoholic, like dead drunk, but they would drink every night before sleeping. My uncles, and they would drink a little bit more. So they enjoyed alcohol a little bit more. I saw the dark side of alcohol, I guess, when we used to have these parties and people used to misbehave like talk loose jokes and all that. And I think the worst that I saw was when my uncle molested me after drinking alcohol. At that time, I didn't know it was because of alcohol, but eventually, I guess I realized. So that was a very dark phase. But yet, I didn't know that alcohol was dangerous until I think I saw a kind of these movies where after drinking alcohol, these guys would act funny in Hindi movies and all that. So I used to always wonder why they act like this. And then, the curiosity about alcohol, in our parties, they would say, oh, taste a little bit, it didn't taste nice. They'd give me beer, didn't taste nice. It would taste like yucky, didn't taste sweet or anything. They'd give me, I remember drinking port wine, Goan port wine. That was during Easter. I just drank it, it felt a little warm or something. And then I started to feel the whole room was turning. It was because my stomach was empty. So when they gave me a little bit of rice and all that, then stopped. So I was like, hey, what the hell happened? So, yeah, so I always had that wine, beer, whiskey never tasted nice. When I grew up, as in, could go out without my parents' permission and all that, I used to hang around with my friend whose name was Sunil at those days. He used to work in Emirates Airlines, and obviously because he had a monthly salary, he could afford to buy alcohol. And he used to drink. And he used to take me out for bars and pubs, when he used to go out. He was like the friend I had. And I used to see him drink. And he always asked me, do you want? I said, no, I don't want. So people who were drinking looked cool, but I didn't have the money to look cool. So I would drink I think those days it was Coca-Cola. Red Bull was not yet there. But then I saw the dark side very quickly. This friend, he was involved with this girl who he loved very much. And they always had issues and problems and fights. And whenever he was emotionally affected by her, he would drink more. He would go to the bar, drink more. He would go to the pub, whatever. He would accompany me. He would drive the car. But one thing which I noticed, he spent a lot of money on alcohol. Lots of money. He would pay with his credit card. He would pay. And he was working for Emirates. So, pay a lot of money. And for me, a guy who's not earning any money, to see him spend, say, $500, $1,000 just per session or whatever, I was like, oh, this is crazy. But then, as the relationship became more and more complicated, he would, obviously they would bring alcohol. For those of you who have stayed in UAE, you would know there's a place in Al Quwain and Ajman. Now that Ajman place is closed, Al Quwain is where they get the alcohol. He used to buy like almost half his monthly salary. He used to fill alcohol, used to bring, not for one go, for a couple of days or a couple of weeks, months supply. And he used to drink, and sometimes he used to lose control. But this was all controlled until we decided to move out, both him and me. We will take our own place, because then I had a job of my own. And it was then I saw him lose control with alcohol. He would literally go and get pissed drunk because he was emotionally involved. And when he would get pissed drunk, I was there with him. Driving back home after you're pissed drunk, he would almost fall asleep at the steering wheel, and sometimes, the car would go in different directions. And sometimes when he was emotionally very worked up with this female, he would drive like fast. Thank goodness he had a Toyota Corolla and not a faster car. We even once hit a barrier and we were almost going to overturn. And I was like, shit. And I didn't know driving those days, So I was so afraid. And you're talking of driving, pushing the accelerator and driving. Luckily, we never had an accident. And then he would, act funny and talk funny. And I remember when coming home, sometimes he would be very emotional. And sometimes he would once he even puked where he was sleeping. I woke him up, I washed him, and he was very ashamed about what happened. And he was thankful that I helped him. So I saw what alcohol did to him. And I think the part came where this girl broke up with him. And in that emotional state, he went to, he knew where she stayed. She had a brand new car. He went and, he wanted to smash the car. Instead, what I did was, I told him, don't smash the car. He was drunk. I said, I'll scratch it just to keep you happy. And I just scratched it, and we sat in the car and we drove off. But she complained to the police, stating that he was harassing her. He scratched the car. And he got called to the police station, and they gave him a warning. Thankfully, they didn't arrest him. And he nearly was about to lose his job. And he cried, he cried a lot, and he realized he had to get away from this emotional drinking. And because he was spending money like mad, he was blowing up on his credit cards, he was destroying his life. And lo and behold, he went for a holiday to Thailand, and I guess he had a nice relaxation time. Because when he came back, he was over this girl. He no longer felt addicted to the girl. But yes, alcohol was still part of his life. But he was not getting drunk anymore. They would have these parties, because there are a lot of bachelors staying together, and they would party the whole night and drink and all that, which I didn't like. So, I nearly witnessed him almost endangering his life. I witnessed him nearly destroying his career. He nearly lost his job. He would have gotten in jail. I saw what alcohol did to him. And eventually he got married, he settled down, but alcohol was still part of his life, his, wife's life. And, I don't want to get too, expose a lot of things about him, but a lot of decisions he made based on being under the influence of alcohol, which I know, had he not drank alcohol, he would have never made those decisions. And his life has changed accordingly. It's not that his life is bad, but he has made some critical mistakes. Now, why am I sharing this with you? I'm just giving you an example of one person who I know for whom alcohol impacted. And if I were to evaluate his life, say out of 100, if 100 is making the perfect decisions, because of alcohol, he has made 60% bad decisions, very bad decisions. That 40% is okay, but the bad decisions that he made was all because of alcohol, and it's up to 60%. And without getting too specific, the relationships that he has had, the investments that he made, the expenditures that he had, the money that he blew, all these were major mistakes, major blunders. Had he not had alcohol in his life, I would say that today he would have been at least double of what he is. He is successful, no doubt. He would have been even more successful. Now just imagine I give you one person's example, just one. I'm pretty sure you are aware of even more people who are, drink alcohol, claim that they are not addicted to it, but they can't let go of it. And I'm very sure these people, every day they have to drink alcohol. Alcohol affects their health, alcohol affects their mood, alcohol affects their decision. And I can tell you without a doubt, there is nobody I can challenge, honestly, I can challenge anyone and say, there's nobody who can tell me that alcohol gave them anything good. What does alcohol give you? I've seen businessmen who spend money like crazy on alcohol. And once you're crazy about alcohol, obviously you lose inhibitions, you misbehave, sex becomes, you get turned on more, you do things which you might regret. And then there is always the part where when you're alcoholic, you have alcoholic friends and you make a lot of wrong decisions in life because you're influenced with these people. I've never seen anything good come out of alcohol. And there are these unfortunate moments where people drink and drive or operate a machinery or do something or even get into a fight. I've seen people fight like mad. When I used to go those days, accompany guys to bars and pubs and clubs. Oh, they would fight over some girl or something just because they get a little bit high. What does it give you? That is why whenever I speak to any youngster, any young boy or young girl, and they tell me they drink, I tell them why? No, just to socialize. But why? Why socialize? What socialize? What is this socialize? You don't need alcohol to socialize. That means the group that you're socializing is bad. You don't need that kind of socialize. See, alcohol is a curse. Alcohol is an addiction. Alcohol is a substance that will hook you on for the rest of your life. We have sugar, we have food, we have sex, we have smoke, we have cigarettes, we have alcohol, you have drugs. Now you have gaming. Almost everything today has some element of addiction to it. You don't need to complicate your life even further. As it is, technology has become addictive now. Gaming has become addictive. Smartphone, applications. Why do you want more, man? And alcohol is not good at all. At all. That is why whenever I speak to any youngster, I tell them, please don't get into it, man. Because I've seen what it can do. See, my uncle sexually molesting and raping me. Why did he have the courage to do it? Alcohol. My friend ruining his, I told you, out of 160%, he destroyed so many things. Alcohol. Look at this example of this Air India guy. One mistake, alcohol. Our Indians now, the thing is, they like to relax and enjoy themselves. I'm not speaking of other nationalities, I'm limiting it to Indians because I've been part of the Indian culture. And for them, when alcohol is a time to relax and be with friends and get away and get high, so they enjoy cheap liquor and get high. But then when they get free alcohol, when they go for parties and all, they act like they've never seen alcohol in their life. Like you will see many Indians act like they've never seen food in their life. That's why when Indians go to a buffet, they will even put stuff in their bags and per plate they'll take a mountain because they feel, not get food again. It's a scarcity mentality. So when they see alcohol for free in an aircraft or anywhere, man, they will eat and drink like there is no tomorrow. That is why you get so many Indians begging for free alcohol. And that is why if you see Indians in a party, they'll go and stand, all the men will go and stand next to the bar if alcohol is for free. Weddings and all that, they love to drink. Because that is the day they can get high for free. That addiction, that drives you mad. And, people who are used to this lifestyle, every night they have to drink or they can't go to sleep. Every night. That smell, that comes from their mouth. Their eyes are like red and they're intoxicated. And I'm just glad I never did that. My wife also has such a bad example. First marriage that she had with that when she was very young. That young boy was alcoholic and used to physically, violently harm her. He used to try to shove the bottle in her mouth and she used to refuse, and he used to put her on the ground and try to force her to drink. She didn't. Then her second husband, where she thought he was a good guy, he also used to socialize and drink alcohol. On Facebook, I see so many people having parties, get together, spending alcohol. They may not be able to pay their bills. They live on credit. Their lives are not in order, but they'll spend money for alcohol, beer and whiskey and whatever drinks. And then you see so many of these expats, or some they call it sexpats. You'll see them sitting in bars and pubs, taking that shot of alcohol. Yeah, well, it's their money. But that money is giving them what? To get high. How does it help? If you calculate the amount of money that they spend for alcohol, it's pretty crazy, man. Seriously crazy. I think, I'm just assuming, just for alcohol and cigarettes alone, I think people spend a massive amount. I think maybe up to $1 million in a lifetime. And then if you calculate the medical bills, expenses, the cost it'll take on their health. My uncle died because he was into smoking and drinking. His lungs and everything else collapsed. My wife's father, he used to drink. He was not an alcoholic, but I think he used to drink and smoke. He died. He died just in his 50s, I think. Okay, there are some people you might say, they smoke and drink, nothing happens. But exception to the rule is not the rule, right? Taking alcohol in your system. Yeah, people will say, yeah, it's healthy and all. It's not a necessity, man. It's an external substance that is hooking you on to give you a high. What good is it? I know you'll justify by saying, oh, that way games are not good, phone is not good. See, if you made up your mind that you want to drink and smoke, go ahead and do it. It's your life. You want to ruin it. But if there is anybody who asks me, boy or girl, man or woman, my answer is a vehement no. That is why in my house, no smoke, no drink. And even my child, not allowed. Absolutely no. And I hope it'll stay that way. I'm not saying there are people who don't drink in moderation, but why introduce a substance where there is a greater chance you can get hooked onto it? And once you introduce that into your system, you can't get out of it. I would never want my children or people that I know to get into this. And we have seen what happens. See, I'm pretty sure this guy who peed on this lady, in his normal sense, he would have never even imagined that. But because he got drunk so high, he lost total control. And this is what happens. There are so many people who lose control. And they end up doing something, either drunk driving or do something stupid or emotionally or sexually rape or get into a fight, or once the damage is done, it's finished, right? You can't undo the present. You can't undo the past. You have to pay a price for it, right? Don't you think this guy is now regretting what he has done? But now what can he do? Can't do anything, right? It's finished, right? Game over. Was it worth it? Anyway, this is what I wanted to share with you. You guys can let me know if you agree, disagree. But I can tell you one thing. I'm totally against alcohol, smoking, drinking, drugs, weed, this, that. And there's nothing anyone can tell me in this world that would prove or convince me that there's anything positive about it. Anyway, this is what I wanted to share with you guys. Good, bad, ugly, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Alright? You guys take care. Ciao.